Hold on. We're good. We're good.
What is up, Scruff fam? You know, one more week here. Wait, we have a special character? Oh, right. This is a special episode of the Corona Cast, and we're going to talk Mario Kart. Mario Kart.
Sick.
What's the most broken character?
Luigi. Luigi's
Hello.
tier 0.
Hello. Broken. You know, and we have, like always, we have Frisco Foss. Frisco, how you doing?
Hi, I'm well, Jose. How are you today?
Doing good. Doing good. No, it's not Jose. It's Spider-Man, dude.
Oh, I apologize.
Hello.
Sorry.
Spooder Mang.
Spooderman. Mr. Ricardo Sapu Desu. How you doing, buddy? How many hats you got?
First of all, I would like another nickname for myself, Jose. I don't like that you call Richard Zapp by another name, but you don't call me by a different name, so we're going to have to work on that, by the way.
Yeah, we got to work on that. Matthew, Mr. Brushes himself, Jiren. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, man. I'm doing fantastic, Jose. How are you doing?
Doing good. Luigi, what are you doing here? You know. I know that Mario Kart is a broken topic, but I actually, we should stick to the script and talk about DBS, right? But you know what would be even better than talking DBS? Talking DBS while having breakfast food, having a good portion of scrambled Eggman. Dude, how you doing, buddy? How you doing, bro?
Now. It gets uncomfortably hot in that mask.
What is going on?
Oh.
Wait, Hayden is a Mario brother?
Broken.
You heard it here first.
Tell me about those stories when you were in the mansions back in 2001. I remember that.
Actually, you can probably exchange some notes with Frisco, because Frisco's a ghost hunter himself, so.
This is true.
No!
I'm not gonna lie. Luigi's Mansion on GameCube was like a highlight of my childhood.
I had to choose between Luigi's Mansion and Super Smash Bros. Melee on release, and I think I ended up getting both.
Solid choice.
And your life has never been the same.
Yeah. But I do own this mask because I do main Luigi in Smash Brothers as well. I should have probably said that
In Melee?
In Melee, yeah, and Project M and Plus, if you know what those are.
Yeah, I had no idea. In case you weren't aware, DBS watchers, Pittsburgh is actually the hub of Luigi mains in Melee. Stephen Abate has actually played poker with me for my birthday party. Jacob Voodoo Jin. Abate was like a top 30 player in his prime. Jacob was top 100. So I have a huge place in my heart for Luigi's, and now he's entered that spot.
Saying that I'm the best Luigi in Kansas is like saying the best DBS player in Kansas. There's not enough. I mean, just prove it, right? So I can just be on the steady.
That's awesome, man. Happy to have you, man. Like I know we only talk a couple times in person when we run into events. I think you're one of the most respectable people in the community. I think you're an outstanding human being, super humble for all the work that you do. Like you always treat people how they deserve to be treated, and man, you're putting work. You're going to the online tournaments. You're showing how it's supposed to be. You're performing. You're innovating and having fun at the same time. It's like trifecta. So I'm happy.
I want to call you false, but you're all right. Everything's true. Mr. Humble.
So, on the off chance that someone unfamiliar with TheEgman, do you want to talk a little bit about your background with Dragon Ball Super, how you got into it, and your favorite non-green leader card?
Oh, gee, you should have prefaced that before. That would have taken.
And your favorite ice cream.
Oh, favorite ice cream. All right.
And favorite Dragon Ball character.
Come on, it's like 86 questions.
All right. So how I got into it. I played Hearthstone for a while. It got me through college because all my lectures were pretty boring, but I was in a computer science major, so I could just play on do notes on my computer all day. So you can probably tell how that actually went. But then Hearthstone kind of got stale, and one of my good friends, Abe, who I still play with today, and we share cards and everything. He's like, there's this new game by Bandai, and we played Naruto together, their previous card game.
All right, Naruto, cool.
And he said, like, you got to get into this. It's fun. I'm like, no, I don't need another source of money to get into. And that changed in like a week though. And so I got into that. I got like a couple of draft boxes already, and I really fell in love with the game. And the really big thing for me was I really do like innovating decks and all that kind of stuff. And that wasn't really Hearthstone's place. Hearthstone, especially with a smaller deck size, it was more of being able to place consistently and well, and temper the RNG than really strong builds. So that got into there. And when was expansion set 2? That was 2018 winter. Sorry, the Overwhelm one. That was the one.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, it's like
2017.
That's
that's
set 3. Set 3.
I was like, between set 2, set 3, yeah, somewhere around there.
Okay. Oh, does that mean I've been doing this for 3 years or 2 years? Did you say 17?
Almost 3.
I don't know about the year.
You're like 2.5 years in.
2.5. Okay.
Almost 3.
But yeah, so I remember I had to go down to Wichita, which is like 3 hours where I was, and I raided their Target because they were selling the Overwhelm for like 15 a piece. And oh man, that was like the weirdest thing checking out with those, because those things were bulky, right? And so I had like up in my arms and just.
Specifically, I remember them being a pain to open. By the way,
I
don't know.
Yes.
I do not know. I specifically remember that.
Ever seen. So, but yeah, I got into that and played the game for a bit, and I saw a few content creators, and I'm like, oh, I could do this. Why not? And so I did. And that was pretty much it. And I've never really had more of a goal than just sharing knowledge and deck lists and stuff for the community. That's been my big goal. So I think I've made a good show at it.
Definitely.
Nice.
That's awesome.
So you're missing the most important questions, dude. Like, you're an ice cream man, favorite Dragon Ball player, bro.
Okay, Dragon Ball player or
no, sorry, character. Character.
Yeah, oh man, I don't want to hurt feelings on that second one. I think I like cookie dough. If more specific, Half Baked by Ben & Jerry's, the brownie and cookie dough. That was really good. So it's pretty simple. And I like Vegeta a lot.
Okay.
Probably just because he's so prideful, but he's prideful enough that you can make fun of him. Like, you make fun of him for being so prideful sometimes. So I think he's probably he's like on the top. But I could probably find some other character if it needs to be more obscure.
I'm a Vegeta guy myself.
That is good enough.
No, I'm a Vegeta guy, so I'm good.
Yeah. I do like Cell, and I do like Chile, of course, too. So don't get me wrong.
You're good.
Right, and those probably, I was just gonna say those are probably your claim to fame as far as making a hard impact competitively. One of the biggest regionals there were. You got was it 3rd place with Chile?
So in 2019, it was PPG Dallas, which is I think about 250 people. I went X and 1 with a Chile deck, which
I was there. I remember that.
Which was kind of I don't want to like say it's not innovative. Everyone was playing Swap, and so it was still Swap but with a different leader, and I think it worked out really well though. And being able to play Kind Wish, which a lot of people didn't play around, was really good for the deck.
Yep.
Right.
And so that was like my big finish, and so that was really cool to see for that. And then last February, like one of the last events we could have, I went undefeated with Self Surge on like a 500 person tournament. Like I don't remember how big that it was.
I was in Vegas.
Vegas, right?
Yeah,
so I went undefeated on that, and then I did Daylon's the next day, and I topped for the next day, and then I lost round 1 in both events and just fell asleep. So
I feel you on that. But bro, you got carried because of the cell loop that you used 3 times in 2 tournaments.
Oh man, I feel like I can't, unless I have like a one-on-one conversation with everyone who brings that up. I don't feel like I can really get across that it didn't carry me as much as people think. But it's, I think the weirdest argument, and I don't think it's bad, but people were saying it went against the kind of like the flavor of the card, or like the heart of the card, and maybe that would have stopped me a while ago. But I've played enough card games that if something's broken, play it until it's not broken anymore.
Absolutely.
And then it's not broken anymore, right? And if my claim is that I have eroded a card, that is the I'll take that. So that's
that is really sick.
So let me pick your brain on this. So
sure,
constantly in our community we say like that card is broken, that card needs to be banned, this card needs to be one of. Okay, so can you define for you what is broken in this game? What is broken?
So I think on the surface, so a lot of my competitive stuff comes from like my first competitive games were like Melee and Smash Brothers Brawl, and I'd say that's kind of weirder to other games where there's expectations that if something is broken, it will be fixed, right? And those games were kind of at the height or like the end of like online fixing stuff and patches. And so for those two games, you pretty much, if you were playing that game, you had to accept this is unfair. You have to play around it, that kind of mentality, instead of saying, oh, this is unfair, it should change so it's more favorable, right? And so I'm okay with
adapt or quit.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so that's just kind of my mentality, and I'm also pretty stubborn like Vegeta, I guess, because I don't like to just get bogged down. But so my mentality is that just because something's good doesn't mean it's broken, and if it works against you, then you might have to change how you play, right? I can understand if people get upset that they want to play a deck one way and they just can't do it, right? That feels bad, right? It's a bad feeling. But on a competitive scene, you have to recognize that the way you want to play the game isn't always viable, and you have to play around that. So that's just my kind of idea for that. And I think the only card that I've really kind of brigaded for Narada was Super Shenron, and not because it knocked me out of PPG Dallas, but I just thought that was a very, very strong deck. So
that wasn't a healthy deck. I agree.
Yeah. For me, it's if it ruins the experience of either of the players, that's where I draw the line.
Yeah, and anyone playing Super Shenron at the time were just like, yeah, this sucks too, but hey, I won, so good luck round again.
Exactly. So let me ask a follow-up question on that. So what combination of things? So what would be what is your methodology to build a deck that is broken? So what are you looking for to build a deck that is broken in DBS?
I don't know. I usually am more reactive to the meta. I try to see what's good and then kind of try to find some holes on it. So I mean, obviously, like in a vacuum, the Chile deck was fine. It wasn't, but in a fact of like everyone trying to play a big barrier dude that couldn't get removed easily, it was really good because everyone thought they were safe and then they weren't anymore, right? And so that's kind of my idea of saying. And I played Luigi in Melee, which is not a really good character. I've always kind of had like a underdog mentality. So if the question was when I want to make something broken, and I guess the thing that I like to do is I like to find weird interactions and see if I can break those. And like, so obviously I did that with the 3-drop cell, right? That was the interaction, was that I could just keep paying 1 green to make them discard stuff, right? And kind of on the surface, and once again, I said it didn't carry me, but there are some matchups or some situations where it just kind of was like a win more situation of like, cool, I've made it to a situation where I'm ahead and now I can just capitalize now that I am ahead, instead of a situation where I'm always ahead because I'm playing this card, if that makes sense.
No, that makes a ton of sense. Matt, do you have any, Hayden talked a little bit about his perspective of trying to use reactive techniques in your creative deck building. How do you approach it?
So Hayden brought up a good point about a card like Kind Wish. So Hayden's point about building a broken deck was he did it in that instance purely on the context of the format, which is like, a reactive stance. And there's always different types. There's some people that are like grinders week to week that'll adjust and try to break the format every single week. Then there's people that kind of like lead the pack. So those are like your leaders. So those are the people that are getting out there first with the fastest or most degenerate. And then of course there's the like completely reactive. So the people that wait until all the information is available to then build the most broken thing possible. But usually in Dragon Ball Super card game, like it feels like the most broken things just allow you to convert resource into something completely degenerate for little to no cost at all, and produces even to plussing on card advantage, like those usually seem like the most busted interactions in the card game. Is usually you're doing something that costs you little to nothing, and then it pays you not only the turn you play it, but over time, and results in virtual / actual card advantage, and it just does it more than anything else. I think if I had to give an example of that right now, it's not broken, but if you look at the Red Broly BR stuff versus the Gogeta stuff, read Gogeta 6, right? And read how the card pays you when you play it for 3. It can't be interacted with, and it pays you every single turn offensively and defensively throughout the course of the game in perpetuity. Like, that compared to Broly 6, like, Broly 6, you have to work so hard to do it. Like, the payoff takes so much to get there.
And then it's temporary.
Yeah, and then it's temporary. It's only the turn you play it do you get that benefit. So, I mean, that's just like a simple thing, like, to go over there. But yeah, I think building the degenerate strategy usually has to focus on that whole, like, converting, resources for the littlest amount possible, doing stuff broken now and in perpetuity that also generates card advantage or keeps you at parity.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, I think the Gotenks deck is also another good example of that. I'm thinking about Grim Reaper, which you pay 2 energy and you play this 25k dual attacking body that KOs something.
And deflect.
And it has deflect. You get your 2 cards back, and then you probably use the new Trunks as part of your fusion bait. So you have like a 8 to 10 or 6 to 10 out of 50 chance of getting a +1 off of that. So your 25k dual attack body ended up going 3 cards deeper in your deck and killing a relevant threat turn 2. As you said, cost efficient, and you're generating cards just for playing cards. There's no additional expense other than, I got a Goten and a Trunks in my hand. How many of each do you play? 10? Oh, good job.
Yeah. What about you, Prisco? What is your vision of unfair? How do you want to build decks when they're
I think my viewpoint probably stands a lot with what Matt said already, is just things that you can just do with little to zero energy. Just looking, I know a lot of people don't think Storm was a unfair deck because of very skill intensive like Mirror and stuff like that, but that was doing a lot of unfair things compared to any other deck in the format. Yes, there was other ways to beat it. I understand that, but just anything that, like, even pre-Vegex was with U3 was just absurd. That just had the very similar mindset that nothing costs energy, and you just got to do all these things for just milling the top of your deck. It was just stupid. So anything of that nature, I won't rehash all the points, but that's my version of broken or unfair, is just doing a lot of things with no repercussions.
Correct.
Yeah. everything is relative, right?
It is.
Chances are you take whatever this Icarus deck ends up being and you put it into like set 6 format, it's probably demolishing.
Yeah, it probably does.
But yeah, if we're both doing things broken, quote unquote, then we're actually talking on a fair plane. So it's all relative.
Yeah.
Yes.
Jose, was there anything you wanted to add?
No, it's the same thing. For me, it comes down to how many times can I swing at you in the same turn without paying energy?
No.
That's kind of...
I'm an aggro player.
Yeah, and it seems like from what we've played with the red and green decks that this is looking to be an aggro format if these new archetypes are what's defining the format.
Vegeta really scares me. It has. I haven't played with it, but it looks like it has a lot of potential to do.
Which one was it you said? I'm sorry.
Vegeta.
Green Vegeta.
Oh, Green Vegeta. Okay.
Majin Vegeta.
Majin Blue Vegeta.
Yeah.
Now, Matt, you got some reps in with that deck, right?
I did.
Yeah. What's your initial impressions?
I think it's really strong, like everyone alluded to. It can kill people as early as turn 2. The only thing I've noticed so far is 2 things. Is number 1 is that if the game is going past turn 3, like, you're like, think of it like being in a championship fight, like in, say, you're a KO puncher. Like, if you get dragged to the later rounds, like you're just drowning. Like, You just can't defend your life as well. Your life total is already really reduced because of your leader skill. So if you're not closing the game in 3 turns, you're going to find yourself not being that successful. And then additionally, it seems like the check to the deck exists in red in Violent Raise. Like, if they Violent Raise you, then the only relevant attacker you have is your leader, and then that's it.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And if they just negate your leader swing, like let's say you don't play around Violent Raise, you swing with your leader first, then your whole entire turn is basically ended.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been my experience so far is, I've won a game on turn 2, and then I proceeded to then lose the game once my opponent realized that they could just beat me with Violent Raise. So yeah, so that was...
It's kind of, I mean, it's kind of tangentially similar to like the Reboot Gohan.
Mm-hmm.
Would you say it's similar to that? And maybe what would you compare and contrast to that kind of deck and idea?
Yeah, so instead of you being like strictly leader based aggression, like you're a leader, so think of it like if you had a Reboot Gohan leader that was also playing the Broly chain from set 6.
Okay.
Like that's basically what the deck feels like. Is you have your leader is really powerful, but then you have a chain that goes tall.
Yeah,
and that's how you're winning. It's just doing multiple chains with you, like multiple.
Or like green yellow Gohan with the Gohan 8 drop. You know me, bro.
Yeah, basically, it's like the exact same deck as that, and that's the issue with those strategies. Is it's like there's like you have to do this weird mix of going tall and wide at the same time if you're trying to be a successful aggressive strategy. Like Vegex is kind of like Vegex and AOD are kind of like the benchmarks of what aggro should be to be successful, because you're going tall and wide at the same time. Whereas like Majin Vegeta is just going leader swing plus tall threat, and then if you're just like mitigating one or both of those, then the deck really just doesn't function.
Sure. But in a format where people have to make a decision on, stopping one big boy or a lot of small boys, right? I could see it. There could be some bad matchups that will let it succeed.
Definitely. Same thing with Reboot Gohan. Reboot Gohan always finds a way. I mean, like Jurassic Park, bro. Like just.
I feel like Reboot Gohan's always going to be like the boogeyman of this game. Like you always have to prepare for it, but you never know when you're going to see it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's hard counters to it that exist, but if you happen to get around it, it's like playing that combo deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in 2006 that you knew if they side deck the right card, you're screwed. But if nobody's prepared for it, you're gonna top 4 like nobody.
Is that like we call it like in the first rounds the jungle, right? Is that random jaguar that's gonna claw you and eat you in the back, and you're like crap.
Yep, those decks thrive on highly diverse formats, like because they just prey. And that's the one thing about the Dragon Ball Super card game that's like infuriating but beautiful at the same time. Is it's infuriating because it's like there are best strategies that people just refuse to play because the beautiful part is because they love playing something else. And so it's like you can never you can never like make a read. Like you can try. You can even look at Storm and Super Shenron and stuff like that. Like there's still like 20% of the field was only using Storm at the time. Mm-hmm. It wasn't, even though it should have been like 80. Like the Otakon event where the Storm player lost to SS3, which I don't know how that happened, but. So that tournament, like he was like one of the only players playing that deck, and he made it to the finals. Like, and then at the Philly event, nobody was playing it at all. Like, I was blown.
Dude, he lost in the finals, bro. I'm not gonna play that deck.
Yeah, I play first place decks.
I don't know if I ever told you guys this, but at the ARG Philly event where Storm was legal, I had 2 decks on me. I had Red Blue SS3 that Matt, and I had grinded out. I was hot off a really successful run at the Gen Con beforehand, and my buddy Keith was like, I don't know what deck to play. And I'm like, well, I brought 2 decks. I got Harudegarn, and I got my SS3 deck. And he's like, I've seen the Storm deck, and it's really fun, but the problem is Trunks is my favorite character in the Dragon Ball series. So I gave him the Storm deck. I let him play Trunks. He went 1/3 drop.
Yeah, so it happens.
Yeah. No, I'd like to talk about the other decks too, but Matt, I want to hit on. I know recently I saw you make a comment to somebody. We were talking about the Vegeta deck, and you made this really interesting comment. You said that the deck because of how fast it is, it's inconsistent,
Mm-hmm.
which is traditional of an aggro deck. But with a deck like Vegeta, where you have the Bobbity that tutors Majin Awakening, you have Majin Awakening you play 4 copies of, and you have the new Anniversary Box Hatchiyak that can get the Bobbity, that can get the Quickening. You have a ton of consistency in your openers. But do you remember that comment and want to clarify a little more on that?
Yeah, so when you're, again, it falls into that line where you're playing, whenever you're playing a deck that's really fast, is even though you have the consistency of the opener, right? Once you have it, so let's say you have the quickening out, if you're not getting all of the pieces you need afterwards, so like let's say you just never draw a 7-drop. Like, let's say you open, you do everything you do, but you never draw a 7-drop. Since your game is so condensed, if you just ever have a game where you suffer any sort of variance, then you just immediately, your deck just doesn't function at that point. So the deck is really good at getting going, because it's like you said, you'll be able to get quickening on turn 1 like a large percentage of the time. But if you don't pop off your quickening, then, and you don't have a 7-drop, then again, your deck is doing nothing. Your deck is just a pile of cards that, it's just one giant engine. So if one piece of the engine fails or isn't there, then what are you? You're just a bad deck playing bad green cards that cost too much. Like,
yeah, because like it reminds me, like when Unison cards first came out, you know, people didn't know how many a Unison they should run, and there are so many people who, you know, would have like a bunch of counterplay freezes in their hand and dormant potentials, and they're like, I didn't see my one Bardock, or one and they're like, yeah, I should probably run 7 or 8 2-drop Unisons, huh? And so, but yeah, for chains like this where, you know, every chain is unique piece and you only have 4 of it, there is that consistency issue you have to run into.
Which is, it's interesting because at the end of the day, most decks in Dragon Ball Super are combo in some variation where you're really trying to accumulate 2 or 3 cards that synergize really well together. But Matt's point, which I found so interesting, is when you're playing in an aggressive deck, you only have 2 or 3 turns to accumulate those cards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Where in a mid-range or control deck, you have 3, 4, 5 turns. And whenever every deck has a 5-cost SCR that says, I win the game, some form or fashion, it makes you wonder if sometimes the mid-range strategies are more appropriate for the format.
It's also really interesting because I was having this conversation with Frisco last night because we were talking about green Gotenks, right? And so he plays the deck. He doesn't necessarily have the best experience with it, and he just makes the comment like, yeah, this deck feels powerful, but I feel like I'm only just doing this one thing. And then I just made the comment of, in the history of card games, a linear mid-range strategy has never been dominant. Like, you can't be linear and mid-range, and the thing is Gotenks is just a mid-range deck. It's a green mid-range deck that has like a super sweet 2-drop. It's like any green Magic deck that was playing Tarmogoyf. Like, it's great, but if mid-range decks are really good because of their flexibility and versatility, and the thing is the green Gotenks deck can only do the thing. So that was like a interesting conversation we had last night as well.
Yeah, is that a good summary of your experience, Frisco?
Yeah, I was like, the only other thing I could do with the deck is pay 1 energy for Gotenks and do a random Cell Xeno whenever you kind of wanted to. So it's like, that's the only other like line of play that felt like, oh, I can actually be, you know, going off the beaten path. But other than that, it's just like you're jamming Grim Reapers or you're jamming a Unison and you're passing and leaving up dormant and Frieza. That's what the deck is, and it can win you games, but it also, like, I go back to the Boo, the Black Boo deck. It just, your deck is so easy to like play around and focus. Like, if someone knows what you're doing, you already lost half the battle. At least that's my mind, right? If you already know what your opponent's going to be doing basically every turn, it gives me every opportunity to game plan against you, whereas you can't really change what you're doing.
Yeah. That was similar to my experience too. I've been playing Goldfish in the deck a lot. You know, one of my experiences, I actually found that increasing the Unison count is a great way for remedying this for a few reasons. One, it ensures you get value off the 3-cost trunks that when you use it for the Gotenks, you look at top 7 for a Unison. It increases your odds of hitting off of the Anniversary Box Goten Trunks combo. That's a great card because it costs either part of the Unison. But going turn 4 or turn 3 and just hard casting a Bardock, putting another Bardock underneath it because you tutor for Unison so much is a pretty solid mid to late game play. unless you're playing against Gogeta. Frisco, do you want to talk about that crapshoot of a game?
Yeah, I mean, I played a lot against green decks with Matt and Zap. I have to admit, when you first read the cards, green seems more playable on like when you just read it and you just like, oh my god, this does so much at the time. But then you just realize how much Gogeta 6 pays you over time that it just generates so much value in so much ways that your opponent has to play inefficiently just to play around it too. I found the deck to be very successful. Wolfgang Fist is my new favorite card. Free cards are good cards, and when you're just jamming the Unison on turn 2, and you always have your Wolfgang Fist to protect it, it's always going to survive for that next turn. If your opponent doesn't have any type of Nimbus, Topo, Violent Rays, Dormant, they're probably going to die because you can have 4 triple or 5 double strike swings or 4 double strike swings on that turn for huge attacks. And it's also a great main range deck because as soon as you play that 6-drop and then you just start accumulating value over time, even if your hand size is not as big as like a green Gotenks, because it's definitely going to be bigger, but it's so hard for them to catch back up after that. And I absolutely love it. I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Have you Hayden, have you had any experience with those decks so far?
So I've played some green Gotenks, and I think you guys were spot on based on my interaction of like, whoa, this is really consistent, and then like turn 4 comes around, I'm like, I guess I'm just still fusioning stuff. Just looking at my Unison with like 6
cool story, bro.
Can it be 7? No, it can't, and then I lose next turn. But I think I've gotten to a point where like the deck's consistent enough that you can start doing inconsistent stuff to make it better. So that's kind of, I think, I don't know if we want to segue into deck building or anything, but for whenever I make a deck, usually what I do is I just, for a lot of these decks, they build themselves in a lot of ways, right? They're 50 cards, and you're like, okay, this makes sense, boom, there. And you really just see what's consistent, and then from there you say, okay, how much am I actually using this card for? You can really say like, oh, I always just want to charge it or combo it, right? Or and that kind of stuff. And then you can start getting inconsistent. And I'm a really big numbers guy. I like math. I do a lot of computer engineering, that kind of stuff. But like I will have like weird number decks, like 52 cards, 53 cards, and just so I can be comfortable with ratios and see, is this consistent? And Dragon Ball is a lot weirder than a lot of other games. There's so much more cycle in this game than a lot of other games.
You draw so much. You draw so much. Just the whole life mechanic in itself is a great. I really like the mechanic a lot. It's one of my favorite things about this game. Okay. So I think like and how many cards just search each other too. So just that consistency I think feels really good, especially like on a tournament format and for everything. But just being able to boil down, saying 52 cards feels right. I guess we'll run this, and it usually does okay. That kind of stuff too.
So using Gotenk as a specific example, you played 2, 3, 4 games, and you said, all right, these cards feel less consistent. These are the type of places where I have wiggle room. What were some of those cards for somebody just now trying to?
So I guess the easy one is saying how many Gotens do I run and how many Trunks do I run, right? And so, because even though they're like the most important cards that you have, if you have like 12 of them, you're like, okay, I have way too many. And conversely, if you only run 4 of them, then you're like, why am I not seeing these guys? So I think the consistency is, well, I think the first thing is are the new fusions out in the actual set, are they good cards or are they traps, right? The 5-drop seems really good on paper, and I think it's at least deserved to be in the side deck. But if you, in the sense, if you're playing against an opponent who doesn't really have a Unison card out, it doesn't really do that much, right? You lose value kind of playing that card compared to the 6-drop. I like the new 6-drop though. I think that one's fun. But the anniversary box 6-drop is, we've already talked about, is super duper good.
Yes.
So that's something you could probably tone down on, and then you kind of think, okay, I can kind of control the board with this, and so where are some good green bombs? And so we've got cards like immediately like the 4-drop, like the Vegeta Unison from the anniversary box. That card's really good. And if you're finding yourself, not being able to keep up with, card destruction, that's a good idea. You could also pivot into like a really good hand destruction deck too, just because it does have those kind of controlling aspects of, oh, I can do this stuff, and it can even, if you want to do like blue green or something like that too, that could be another pivot. And I really do like the the Goku Son Gohan arrival card. I think that's super good. And so being able to playing that off Android 18, I think is a really good combo. So that's some like another idea that you can use this effects. Mostly, I'm thinking if I can do anything cheesy with the leader effect too. So there's a lot of like Deadly Defender ideas. I'm not sure if it's good enough, but that's like immediately okay. Is that something you can take advantage of or something like that?
I dig that. Yeah, what I really want to get into exploring blue with that deck. There's 15k Trunks and Go 10 Vanillas, which is cool because there's not a lot of ways you can get them to your deck, but there is the expansion. We were actually you talked about the expansion box earlier. The Go 10 from that set looks at top 7 for a Trunks. So what I want to do is I want to play like 2-ish blue vanilla Trunks. And then I also want to play 2 Series 1 Trunks Super combos.
Okay, yeah, I know the ones, yeah.
Yeah, and what's cool about that is when you're playing Grim Reaper, if they kill the Grim Reaper and you don't want to fuse anymore, you can get a super combo back, and that's pretty
cool. For sure.
Yeah, definitely some flexibility.
So, and I think that's where I'm at with the deck, where on the surface, this is the kind of like the basic loop of what the deck wants to do, and then where are the extensions and where do I have a little bit more like energy time or a lot of cards so I can do something greedy, that kind of stuff.
Right.
I dig it. Jose, what's been your experience with Series 11 so far?
Series 11, very close to 0. Very close to 0. I've been playing against it. I've been watching you guys play. To be honest, I'm still hung up on Yellow Baby. So I was still trying to figure. Huh? What?
There's a new Baby Unison card, right?
It's so bad, dude. Don't even start me.
Clarify. I just said
He's just acknowledging there's a baby card out there,
dude,
bro.
When they had the new trailer for the new stuff, and I saw that Unison, it's like we were like, dude, is this the card that I needed to actually make the Yellow Baby playable? So
like you normally say enhance, but once you see it the first time, like de-hance.
Yeah. So now I must say, even though I haven't played, there's a lot of stuff that I want to build. I think the Dark Broly Unison, it seems very, very good. Like going back to what we were saying about getting the value throughout the game. I think it's one of those cards that really, really are an example of what we're looking for.
It is not coming off.
Exactly.
Unless there's like a new card that just gets rid of Unison cards, like that is like it starts off with 5, and then anytime you're like it's very silly.
And we were complaining about Zeno starting at 4, and it's a 900, right? 9,000. It's a 9K. These guys are 20K, bro. He's not moving. He's not going anywhere.
Nope. Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
I would say if Dormant Legend or Dormant Potential wasn't a card, I'd say it might be a bit of a trap. But just the fact that you can tap out on turn 3 and say I'm reasonably safe to do something this greedy, it seems very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not dying with a Frieza and Dormant if you have that in your hand.
Nope.
Yeah. Somebody threw out the relationship with Final Explosion with the Dark Broly because it's remove one of your markers, remove one of their markers, and that triggers the auto on the Broly for it's an extra discard.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
But then I guess somebody had tested it, and the deduction we came up with was Majin Vegeta is the only leader you can play that in, and taking the damage is a mandatory part of the whole draw card double strike. And trying to play a mid-range strategy with such a suicidal leader has had too much negative synergy. I'm excited to see if somebody comes up with a solution to that conflict.
Well, isn't there that I could be wrong, but isn't there a Demigra that you can just discard from your hand to get a Dark Dragon Ball?
It's a Deborah card. You can discard it to get a ball and then remove a counter. Yep.
Yeah, so that goes like +2 for free, right? Because your opponent loses a card.
Yes. For absolutely no reason.
Card is +1, but it does search a card that you could use for because you could use the original green ones with the Frieza stuff too. Right. And you're already KOing something once a turn because of Broly, so we could play the 4-drop surprise attack.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've got a video though. I can't go much farther.
It's okay. It's actually a Frieza list that I've been testing as well with just.
Because Broly still discards 1, so you can play your Dodoria back.
Exactly. So
and then double free crit on a 20K is very good.
Yeah. So going back into the Frieza chain like basically just like using the Frieza Zeno, like that that interaction and that deck picking that up is like so cool because that deck really needed something to like, because like playing it, man, it's like it's really really good, but when you realize that like you're just not able to put a ton of pressure on the opponent, like unless you're ahead. If you're ahead, the deck feels great, but if you're ever behind or even, it always just feels like you're constantly like scraping for some sort of advantage. And I'm glad that it finally got some like power cards per se.
Yeah. So I know you said you haven't been playing the series too much, Jose, and that's because I think you're playing in Daylon's upcoming tournament. Is that right?
Our friend Hayden is also playing.
Very exciting.
Yeah. So
Frisco, you were invited as well, but had an obligation, if memory serves.
Yeah, my son's to your birthday is next weekend, so we're going out of town. Yeah, we're going up north, and had to respectfully decline.
Talking about that, happy birthday,
Mr. Brushes.
Happy birthday.
To you.
Are we still going? We can cut it. I think we're fine.
My wife makes fun of me because every time she's heard me say "What is up, Scrub Fam" in a YouTube video, she's always wanted me to do a karate kick, or she wanted the karate kick in the background. And she heard me singing, and she just kind of stuck her foot out in the doorway and just started kicking at me.
So for those out there, it's Mr. Matthew Cohn's birthday. So that's why we're saying happy birthday.
Yeah. Thanks everybody that'll be watching this in the future. The date of this is August 17th.
Right.
That is my birthday. Not when you watch the video.
Is 147.
The year of 2020, the year that Galactus is coming. I don't know if you guys saw that today in the news. Yeah, there's a cosmic storm. There's actually, they found out that it actually has a heartbeat kind of a resonance because it's reacting to a black hole. So everybody's making fun of like, oh, it's this cosmic storm that has a heartbeat. Okay, great. 2020. It's all we needed. Galactus is coming.
Oh, God.
Sick.
Oh, God.
I am
by
going
now
to.
it's whatever.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, it's like.
So before we went on our 6 tangents, I was going to ask Hayden and Jose what you guys are doing to prepare for an online tournament that would be different than preparing for an IRL event.
Got some snacks.
got some Cliff bars, some Quest bars.
Alcoholic drink next to my keyboard right here. Actually, for me, since I started playing on tap when the game came out, but then when I discovered Octagon, I moved away from on tap, user face preferences, and so for me, when I prepared for Gen Con, the thing that I needed to do was get proficient at I use it on tap, which actually I reached out to Hayden himself. Like he actually was able to coach me on, give me tips how to, run on tap, and and also watching.
I'm like I don't even use the shortcuts. Like I'm bad. I'm like grandma.
Dude, you
Same
freaking.
here. I don't
Dude, I also watched after we talked. I watched your streaming of your matches. Dude, you're freaking like your arrows like. Like going everywhere. It's like, holy crap! I need to learn this.
Hearthstone, right? So that APM was a really important thing for Patron Warrior Hearthstone. Oh yeah, you had 60 seconds. You gotta really crank it. So
that was super helpful. I appreciate it. I read it a lot. Thank you. So it was get familiar with the user interface. Get familiar with what you're gonna be using, because now this is your deck essentially. Make sure that your deck is built on the engine, and everything's set up looking like it's supposed to be in the picture compared to your deck. And then everything else is just practice on how. So for me, time has always been a concern because I hate going into draws, and
I don't think
especially
there's timing on this one, so you should be good.
Okay.
Because since it's single elimination, you have to literally finish your match because you can't be draws. So I think it's nice on these kind of online events. That
absolutely,
yep. Especially for best of 3 too online.
Yeah.
Best of 3 online. Who knows how long is that going to take?
Right.
Yeah.
So and the other thing, just grind in the sense of try to not multitask, which is for me is really hard. I actually find concentration in multitasking, and I say multitasking because reality we're not multitaskers, but we just try to do a lot of things at the same time poorly. So for me, it's really, really hard, and I had to practice this when I was on my own before Gen Con. Just sit down, I'm playing Dragon Ball, and I still try to have the conversation with my opponent and be nice and so look at this is what I like doing. But also like there was at one point it's like, okay, I need to cut the conversation. We need to finish the game. Because sometimes people get comfortable and then it's like at some point I ended up talking about a friend of mine, like the opponent that also got divorced, and we bonded over that. Yeah, at that point here, at the end of the match, he added me on Facebook, and we're friends now. It's like
nice.
but the game took longer, and we were able to finish, but the game took longer and whatnot. So that's for me. That's one of the things that I work on when I'm playing in online tournaments. Yeah, because the testing, we always test. We always try to put the hours and when I go online tournaments, I want to play a deck that I feel comfortable with. So. Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing, having a deck that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
A lot of people that I see will just pick the tier 1 deck. They'll have some games with it, but then they'll find themselves in a situation they haven't encountered before, and they just play it incorrectly, which is
yeah, exactly.
The difference on that. But some, I guess, miscellaneous stuff that I do. I get out of the house. I try to make sure I get, because I'm going to be stuck here for like a couple hours, right? So you don't want to stay here. I go walk the dog for a bit if the weather's nice, that kind of stuff. Usually, if I can do like
you run quite a bit in your spare time, right?
What do you say?
I said, don't you run quite a bit in your spare time too?
Yeah, I do a lot of running. I've been getting into rock climbing too, which is
nice.
Cool. Definitely a new challenge for me. I don't have a lot of upper body strength, so it's been fun exploring that.
Awesome.
But
awesome.
I definitely find that kind of stuff, being able to work out and just get the blood flowing helps a lot. Also cleaning your desk, which is kind of funny, but like if you have a lot of distractions, like I have a terrible example. So I've got like 100 cards right next to me, as probably most of you guys do too, but cleaning that up, just having a focus is good. I've been streaming my matches too, and I don't know if it's just that constant of like, people can see this and will be able to see this again if I make a big mistake. I gotta like really focus. Yeah, exactly.
The pressure.
That helps me out, as long as I don't, get stuck in my head on that. And just as you said, try to really grind out a couple games, because like going to Untap for events, I found myself almost, the thing that we've all done, when we start first playing the game is that, we didn't charge at the beginning of the turn, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you have a different medium to play the game, you're going to start doing these kind of forgetful things again, because it's not as it's a different motor action, right? And so what we have ingrained isn't the same anymore.
It's a different muscle memory for sure.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, a good way to get around that is, instead of remembering by muscle memory, just start remembering questions.
Mm-hmm.
And what's in their drop area, not like physically trying to grab someone, Yeah, right.
You know what do you say, Hayden?
Why am I losing?
Who's
Who's winning the game right now?
Who's winning? Who do you think is winning?
So yeah, that's what I try to do. I just try to memorize, or just trying to figure out questions that I want to get answers to.
Yeah. So one thing that helps me too is that how you can actually view, different areas of the board.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually keep always open the drop area. If I'm playing against a deck that is using the drop area, I click on it, I keep it the window, which is one of the reasons why I prefer playing Octagon. So when I'm testing with the boys,
you can't